Hello. It has finally connected. I am live. You are live with me in the studio. Well, you're either live or coming back to watch this later. Thank you for joining me. If you have, I hope you've got a cup of tea and 15 minutes or so to do a drawing together. And yes, this is my second live stream. I'm really grateful for anyone who would like to join in, make a comment, do the usual YouTube things, click all the buttons and whistles and bells. And I will take you through my really simple approach. It's not actually that simple, it's quite technical, but it's a great approach for drawing flowers, and I teach it, I think, quite simply so that anyone can start to achieve the sort of drawings that they want to. So I'm just going to chat a little bit longer, see if anyone joins us. I have been teaching art for the last 12 years. I have a master's in fine art. I majored in drawing, so I studied for 10 years. So I had some wonderful teachers through that time. And I also ran a community gallery for 10 years. So between all of those things, and I did a lot of mentoring of artists, I think I've got a pretty good approach to teaching and imparting some really helpful knowledge, I hope, and supporting artists along their way. I am going to launch into this drawing. We're just here for sort of 15 minutes. It's really a warm-up before my Saturday sessions class, which is only $25, 20 concession, that I'm running for the next 3 weeks, including today. If anyone is interested to know more, please email me, katierobertsart@gmail.com, or have a look at my website. I'll put that in here. It's Katie's Art Classes. Yeah, Katie's Art Classes.com, I think. Yes, there we go. So there's some classes starting this week, but I really wanted to just give something free to everybody as well. Look like somebody's joined me. Thank you for being here. So the idea with these is to just have a little bit of fun and learn something about drawing. You can draw along, or you can watch and draw later, see what you feel like doing. Just watch for entertainment value, perhaps, as I faff around with the live stream. So I'll show you my setup today. I have just gone out into my gorgeous little rain-soaked garden where I've been gardening the last few days and planting in my new veggies. It's spring here in Melbourne. And I've picked out a few little flowers. Now what we're looking for this drawing is a flower with a central stem and a radiating set of petals. So I think these are pyrethrum flowers. Please correct me if you know anything more about them. These are waxflower, Geraldine waxflower, beautiful native flower. That's actually a really easy flower to draw, but a really good one for this lesson, but it's very small. I've also got a flag lily, which is another native flower here, which is a great one to draw, but much more complex. So we're going to go with the classic pyrethrum, which is really a daisy structure. Oh, I'm nervous, so you can see it's shaking. So this is perfect for this lesson. If you're looking to do this lesson, either now or separately, what you're looking for is, as I explained before, but I'll say it again, a central stem and a set of radiating petals that radiate out from a central point. So not a foxglove or a iris is probably even pushing it. So something where you can see the petals radiating in a sort of circle, much like a sun. And that's perfect for this lesson. Not too many petals, otherwise you might do your head in, because we're actually going to count. We're going to first start by looking at the flower, smelling it, and analyzing it a little bit. So how many petals? If we were to divide this, an easy way to do it is to sort of divide it in half or quarters and count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So that's an odd number, which is unusual, I think, but some of them are double layered and others aren't. So it doesn't follow a completely symmetrical pattern, which will make it more challenging slightly, but not too bad. So it's sort of 8.5 petals, which is 4 per quarter. So let's think of that. That makes it much easier to approach. And I'm just going to pop it back in the bars. No, actually, I'm going to hold it down here so you can see me draw it. Let's get drawing. Excuse my watercolor box there in the way. Let's just move that closer. And we'll start again, much like we did with last week's lesson, with a central axis. But this time, the central axis is curved, and you can see the stem of the flower is arcing. So I'm going to try and capture the gesture of that arc. And I'm pivoting from the wrist to create that curve. Excuse my phone going off in the background. It's probably someone from my class, but I'm going to have to ignore that. Just turn that off. I guess that's what happens at live streams, isn't it? That things are like phones ring. You can predict that, can't you? You can predict that's going to happen and prevent it, but I didn't, so apologies. Okay, back to the drawing. Okay, so I've gone a little too long with this stem. So let's just, using these great erasers, meant to not leave any pith, but they do, or pilling, whatever it's called. Okay, so we've got that central axis, and I'm going to draw it as if it goes all the way through the center of the flower. And now I'm going to swing an ellipse, which is that central shape of the flower, and another ellipse around the petals. This is the essence of the method that I'm going to be teaching in my class today. Now, I've just observed something, and this is why you should never feel shy of correcting work, because you learn from every time you attempt it. It's on a different angle. I've drawn it as if it's straight up and down, but in fact, it's it's at a right angle to the stem. So observing that again means that when I swing the ellipse, it will be sitting on the stem in the correct way. And I'm going to make those petals radiate out again. We'll make that circle or oval. We call it an ellipse in fine art that radiates around. And what I'm thinking about here is I'm thinking about the distance between the petal and its central area. Have I given it enough space? I'm also observing that in fact it's because of the angle the petals tilt on, it's a little bit more like this. So I better speed up because I've got a class starting in 15 minutes or so. Yeah, we've got 2 people now. Thank you for joining me, guys. So I don't know if you can see that because it's got too much light on it. Let's see if you can, if I change the angle. Drop one of the lights. Okay, hopefully that is clearer now. Let's put it on an angle like that for you. You can see my makeshift stand for my flowers here. Okay, let's see if that's a bit better. Feel free to chat, give me some comments if you want to. I might not see them straight away. But now I'm going to divide that area of the ellipse into quarters, which means that I can then divide that into the petals. Now, which I know was 4 to a quarter, roughly. The flowers and anything organic will not follow any rules completely, so let's make sure we're observing from nature the whole time. But this is a great way to sort of start and work out whether you're going to have enough room for the petals and sort of the rough width of each petal before you really draw from observation and really get close up in there. Let's try and get a closer view. Live stream. Hey. Okay, now I'm going to draw this darker than I normally would so you can see, but we're going to go in. We're going to go in for petals. Now, each petal I'm looking at, I'm going to really pay attention to its width right now I'm just knocking back the structural drawing a little bit so that when I draw my petals, it can be clearly seen. Knocking back is when you erase lightly over the surface. Now, back to the drawing. Thinking about the gap between each petal. Some of them have a much larger gap than others. Just making sure you can see what I'm drawing. And also thinking about the length of the petal. Not worrying about the tonal value or any of that jazz in this case. Just looking at structure. Now I'm doing the back side of the flower first, but I'm making sure I sort of leave room for any overlapping petals, because there are some that come from this side. I'm going to draw this one now, and this little fella arcs right over the top. It sticks right out. This is where art becomes like a science, where it's mostly about observing from nature. And this is where a lot of beginners get stuck, because they think something should look a certain way. But when it comes to actually looking, they discover that things are not the way you think they are. And there thus begins the journey of the artist. It really is that much of a magical experience for me, I think, and I suggest that, you know, anyone on this adventure embraces that mysterious discovery, which is, I think, the most delightful part of art, where you really start to discover what things truly look like in the world, and nature is revealed to you over and over again. So there's an endless amount of things that you can learn from, and you never discover it all. But there we go. There we have the basic structure for the flower. I will try to give you a close-up. I'll use my method here. It's the best I can do at the moment. Let's pop this back. There we go. We have drawn a flower. I will hold it up to you again. Did you draw along? Did you just watch? I hope you learned something from that, even if it's just how not to do a live stream. So that's my little pyrethrum flower, and that's how you can plan out the petals and draw a structural drawing before you lay them out. And you can see, I hope, that that helps it become more accurate. If I was to spend more time on this, I would maybe add colour and erase more of those structural lines and go in more subtly with my pencil marks if I wasn't drawing this for a live stream. But those simple steps, I'll just go through them again for you. First one is observation, really observing the flower first and studying it, and then a gestural line for the stem that also functions as a central axis. So if you don't know what I mean, go back to the previous video on drawing a cup and you will see us do a central axis there. And then we swing the ellipse around the form of the flower, those discs that make up the outer ring of the petal and the central area. Does anyone know the name of that? I've completely forgotten. I know that flowers have stamen, but that's not what that's called. If you know, feel free to pop a comment in. So to recap: gesture, central axis, ellipses, divide those ellipses up into how many petals there are, and then go about actually observing those petals and fitting those petals into your structure. Not remembering nature does not like to follow rules completely, but is a much more organic kind of arrangement. So you get a beautiful play between the intuitive and the the technical, the knowledge from the technical aspect of your brain, and from observation and intuition should be at play in your artwork. Well, I like them to be at play. I like a nice balance between the two. So I hope that you found something helpful in here. Don't get caught up in the technical if you're approaching this yourself. Just remember, it should inform your drawing. It should not dominate your drawing, unless, of course, you're a technical drawer and you want it to. So happy spring, everybody. I hope you had a nice time, and I've loved having you here. Thanks to the 2 people who came. Let me know if you like this video, if you're watching it another time. Every comment, every like, every subscription really matters to me. So you're very kind, and I hope to give you some more content. Here's a flower for you. Do you like this? Here you go. Oh. Thanks for being here. I'll see you in class. That phone.